Okay, 2 past the hour is probably a good time to start. People are still coming in, and I'm sure they'll catch up. I really very much appreciate everybody coming to this town hall on late in the afternoon on a Thursday. So I really do appreciate that. I'd like to try to keep this as informal as possible to make sure you guys can ask whatever questions you want. I have a formal presentation prepared that I will walk through, but I'm going to keep my eyes on the chat so that if you have any questions, you can unmute yourself and just interrupt me. That's great, or you can put something in the chat box. But certainly, the more questions we have, the more engaging this presentation will be. Otherwise, it's yet another Zoom webinar. So hopefully, you guys will chime in with lots of questions, and hopefully, I'll be able to answer them. But of course, we have a big component of the Idisk team here to help with answering any questions that I don't have the answer to. So with that, let me just share my screen and bring up the presentation I have. And again, emphasize, please, really genuinely feel free to interrupt me at any time. Let's see, make sure I have the chat box open for me. There we go. So yes, you're in the right place if you're looking for a town hall on the new Institute for Data Science and Computing here at the University of Miami. Enabling discovery is our theme. We really want to encourage discovery, and that's what we focus our efforts on. I'm sure a lot of people know what a data scientist is, but I think it's worthwhile actually having a little bit of a conversation about what a data scientist is in terms of the context of Idisk. And the real way that I think about this is it turns science on its head a little bit, and it's using the data to drive the discovery. And that's a little bit different than the usual hypothesis test. This is letting the data drive the discovery. It's a new approach, and we're really trying to capitalize on that. And so as part of Idisk, we have state-of-the-art expertise in the latest and greatest techniques in data science. But what we really emphasize is the push to make it multidisciplinary or cross-disciplinary. We're really seeking to enhance activities in architecture or the marine school or the medical school by capitalizing on all the new data science techniques. So our goal is really to use data science to grow science and other disciplines and cross-disciplinary activity. This is sort of catalyzed or summarized in our mission and vision statement. And so we have a data-intensive research focus where we emphasize the region, and we also emphasize enhancing the understanding of how data science can help among our students, the public, and really trying to reach both inside the university to expand the data science activity, but also to reach outside the university, to make sure our local governments, our local businesses, industry partners, and they don't necessarily have to be local either, are able to leverage the University of Miami to expand their data science activities or capitalize on data science. We do envision ourselves as having an important educational and training component. So that's included in a newly launched master's in data science, which I'll talk about a little bit more. But that's also in terms of data science for everybody, trying to make sure we're training our undergraduate citizens as knowing something about data science, but also the public in general. So we really want to emphasize data science for everybody. Leadership team, I'm not going to list all the names here. Nick Sinaramus is up there. I'm the deputy director. My name is Ben Kurtman, for those of you that don't know me. I'm the deputy director, and basically my portfolio includes the Earth System Science program, which we'll talk more about, but also a lot of the academic and grants programs that we're going to talk about in a little bit. One of the things, when you think about almost every institution around the country is developing some kind of data science thing, whether it's an institute, a center, or whatever. Everybody's developing a data science center. What's our niche? And what I think our niche is basically threefold. But the two key elements that separates us from many other institutions is we already have assets in place. Big, powerful assets in place in terms of doing data science. The first asset I want to talk about is our advanced computing core. We have Triton Computer, which some of you are sure are using, or some of you are interested in using. This is a powerful, high-performance computing system. This system meets a critical niche in the spectrum of putting a couple of laptops in your office, a Linux server in your closet, all the way out to the biggest machine hardware that there is that the government supports through NSF centers and DOE centers. This is right in the middle. It's a niche that, for activities that are more high risk, exploratory, and not necessarily well suited for the big production runs on the big hardware, but yet still can't fit on your Linux cluster in your office closet. So this is something we already have in house, and this sets us aside from many other data science efforts around the country. And this is an outgrowth of the Center for Computational Science that's been here since 2007. The second thing is our system and data engineering core. And this, I think, it can't be overstated. We have human assets. We have people that are hardcore software engineers, the best of the best, data scientists that you can work with to meet your research goals. It can be done we have a system where you can charge on an hourly basis. You can involve them in proposals and keep them on the proposal team. But you can engage our data scientists through the Institute in ensuring that you have a good team that's ready to go on day one on your research projects. And so these two assets, I think, are what separates us from most activities around the country that you see, which are just, a collection of people that claim to do data science. Here we actually have infrastructure tools, high performance computing, and humans that can really get you going in terms of high performance computing. This is a big distinction. And of course, the third, I said there's threefold. The third, I think, is our emphasis on we have state-of-the-art data scientists, but our goal is not to necessarily break new ground in data science as an institute. Of course, we have people in departments that are going to do that. But what our real goal is to bring these data science techniques into the various disciplinary sciences. And so that's the third thing that I think sets us aside, is that we're really focusing on how are we going to use data to improve medical outcomes? How are we going to use data science to understand climate change better? It's really those disciplinary activities that we're really seeking to grow. Of course, I did mention this. This is Triton. In 2019, it was one of the top 5 academic supercomputers. I doubt it is anymore, but it's still a great piece of hardware. And not too long from now, we're going to be starting thinking about the next upgrade. And so we have a commitment to continue the institute and continue to improve the computing that we provide. And the other critical element of Triton, it was specifically designed, the architecture of the computational platform was specifically designed to enhance machine learning and artificial intelligence. So there's a heavy emphasis on GPUs, a heavy emphasis on a structure that really facilitates that kind of computing, which is unique. When you look at the big high performance computing centers around the globe, around the US, the DOE centers and the NSF centers, they are primarily focused on big number crunching activities that aren't really the well-suited, the hardware designs aren't well-suited for data science research. And so this is the first time that the system itself is specifically designed for pushing data science. And that's another critical element that we bring to the table. Most of the currency that we work with for computing and a lot of services, we call them service units. And you can think, simply the simplest rule of thumb is that one service unit equates to one CPU hour. And we have a charge for those service units. It's $0.011, and that's heavily subsidized. And so that charge rate is considerably less than if you went to the cloud. If you went to Google Cloud Services or Amazon Cloud Services, you would find that this is considerably less than that. And I'm going to show you an example of how that subsidy grows as you contribute more to the system. And I'll show you that just in a sec. This is available on the Idisk website. It's the whole fee schedule for everything. And so you notice there's advanced computing services, there's consulting services, there's data storage, again, extremely cheap. We worked quite carefully to scope out the charging of this to make sure it was much cheaper than the cloud. And big data and data analytics services we have charging for, software engineering consulting, the whole gambit, virtual reality. So you can see we have a whole set of services that we like to charge. And so one way of interacting is to get service units or dig into this rate structure. There's another avenue, and that is if you're writing a proposal, you can bring software engineers onto your proposal as part of and cover a month or 2 weeks of their salary or whatever is appropriate. So we have multiple ways of engaging with the expertise at Idisk in terms of advancing your proposals and projects. Just an example of how heavily this gets subsidized. This is just one example from a proposal we wrote a couple of years ago. We were planning on, using $20,000 a year for 3 years to contribute to Idisk resources. And what you can see is there's this enormous match. Once you get beyond $3,000, you get into this other tier. There's this enormous match. It's nearly 5 to 1, and so we're basically getting 25+ million CPU hours at a cost that is extremely low and could not be matched in any cloud services. And so, yes, the university leadership wants us to charge to make sure everybody has skin in the game, but they also are trying to make sure that the cost structure here is as economical as humanly possible to make us more competitive with cloud services that are already out there. One way to think about how the Institute works and how it's organized is we have applied research centers. So for example, I'm heavily involved in the Earth System Science Research Center, and I'm going to show you some of the others in a minute. And then we have cross-disciplinary research programs. So you can think of artificial intelligence and machine learning as cuts across all the disciplines, for example. And I'll show you examples. I'll show you a chart that shows you all of the centers that we have currently set up, but there may be, it's designed so that some of these research centers can close and new ones can emerge. So it's supposed to be highly flexible and facile. Each center has a director, and importantly, and that's why I highlight this, is faculty hires. And so right now, Idisk is in a major faculty search mode. We have tenure track faculty position searches ongoing in electrical and computer engineering, in computer science, and at the Marine School. So in total, I think there's something like 10 ongoing active searches at the moment for faculty positions. And we're really excited about that, obviously. We think that's something that can really reshape the whole university. We think that's great. We, of course, have data scientists associated with each of these centers, and that's how you can, you align with the appropriate center, you can tap into those resources. And the centers, of course, have some discretionary resources, so they can be opportunistic in terms of initiative. So if there's some, quick and dirty, high risk calculation that someone needs to do in order to support a big proposal, that's something that these centers can in fact do. So this is the current structure. You can see the crosscuts: machine learning, artificial intelligence, visualization, creative computing. So that's a new crosscut, relatively new crosscut, thinking about using virtual reality or simulation techniques, augmented reality, a different approach, really emphasizing the humanities and arts in this case. Data ethics and society. I'm personally, I'm very excited about this data ethics and society crosscut. I think this is also something that is quite different from other data science programs you see around the country, in the sense is that we're really asking, ethics questions, hard ethics questions. One of the things that has come out, there's a clear bias in facial recognition software. There's a clear bias in that. And so there are, when humans write code and get involved in these things, there's obviously bias gets in the mix. And so there's a real nice emphasis on the importance of ethics and society at Idisk. And then, of course, we have our technology platforms, the high performance computing platform and software that really cut across all of these activities. So the atmosphere, ocean, and earth sciences, I think we really think of this as earth system science, digital health, smart cities, and when appropriate, other applied research centers will emerge. In terms of community, we've sort of carved things out a little bit. We have our core members; those are founding faculty member and founding faculty, and these joint appointments that are ongoing. These 10 searches that are ongoing, and some of we already have some new hires. Those are core members of the institute. Associate members are those that really have a close collaboration, are purchasing lots of service units, are really engaged with the Idisk enterprise. And affiliate members are people that use our resources, just simply a service user, and they can be part of our user advisory committee. We really like to have their feedback. And of course, everybody at UM has access to the Solution Center, our pilot grants, and any kind of community activities that we have in terms of trading, metadata science, seminar series. All of the things that we do for the public is also available to UM faculty. We have a grants program that's ongoing. We just did our second year. These are startup grants. They're specifically designed to put people in a position to write more competitive proposals. So they come with $20K salary, which could be for postdocs, graduate students, or the faculty member, and $5K worth of service units. So about a little over 1 million service units in order to complete that activity. One of the things that's required, however, as part of these competitive startup grants is that there be an Idisk scientist. It could be a software engineer, it could be a data scientist, it could be an Idisk faculty member, whatever it is, that are required to be part of the collaborative team. At the same time, we also have early career training grants. These are for students, postdocs, faculty, and staff. A large number, I don't have the statistics off the top of my head, but a large number of faculty and students and staff take advantage of these. We award them as quickly as they, as soon as they come in, we make a quick decision and award them. They are just for University of Miami folks, so occasionally one comes in from the outside. Those we don't award, but really early career, get people started, so then they can step up and start proposing to use Idisk resources in their regular research activities. We have a user advisory committee. It's initially a committee of all users. We're going to meet twice a year, town hall format like this, And we just want to make it an open conversation. People should feel free to interrupt, and have a discussion. What are we doing right? What are we doing wrong? What's the highest priority in terms of the things that we're doing wrong that we need to fix? Those kinds of things. We really do value the feedback from people that are using it to tell us when we're on track and where we're missing the target. We have exceptional data scientists as part of IDISC already, and we will continue to grow that. And we're excited about that. We have a great team of people who really know what they're doing, and this is a key asset of IDISC, and I think that's the key asset that makes us different from other data science efforts at other institutions, in that you can, if you have, it's 2 weeks worth of work, but you may not know how to do it. You need someone. It's hard to find someone who can do 2 weeks or 6 weeks or some short period of time. It's just some small activity. We can provide those kinds of data scientists. We can also provide data scientists that help you design the whole project, that are in from the proposal from the beginning and build ground up. And so we have both capabilities at the Institute, and we think that's a really critical resource for the institution. It's just a random list of some collaborations that are already ongoing that have developed. I can't speak intelligently about all of them. I'm involved in the Google Cloud Services one and the Fabric one, but we have a lot of activities ongoing, and trying to grow our collaborations with non-governmental entities. We have an external advisory committee that comes from industry that's helping us develop relationships that will continue to grow that. When new faculty come on board and they're particularly interested in growing external collaborations that are non-governmental, we want to help them. We want to use that industry advisory board to help them catalyze those collaborations. Education and training, of course, is a big component of what we do. We have a fellows program. And the way the fellows program is, core faculty in the Institute will serve as mentors for undergraduate students, graduate students, and even postdocs. But my experience has largely been undergraduate students who really want to dig in and do a research project that really uses data science, uses high performance computing, and that will help them launch the rest of their career, if you will. And we match disciplinary scientists with computer science, appropriate data science or computer scientist, and the candidate. And I've been part of a couple of these. They're really a great experience. And if you're asked to participate, I highly recommend you participate in that. We're also have developed, Data Science 101 for freshmen. This is a course, the way I think the way the world is evolving is every good citizen is going to have to know a little bit about data science. They're going to be having to make decisions about what kind of data they're willing to share, and they're going to be asked to vote on things that are relevant for, in terms of data science, privacy, and things like that. And so some level of competency and understanding, I think, in terms of training the next generation of good citizens, the university has an obligation to make sure our entire population that graduates has some sense of what data science is. And so there's this Data Science 101 for freshmen that we're developing that's going to we hope that will meet that need. We also have visiting scholars programs. We want to encourage faculty to sort of, I wouldn't necessarily call it a sabbatical, but sort of an internal step away from the departmental requirements, an internal program that, faculty fellows can dig in, sit with IDISC folks, and really develop a research program. And so that might be, in terms of writing a proposal or doing some initial work that ultimately leads to a proposal. But we really want a fellows program where we we encourage faculty to get really heavily involved with the Institute to ultimately grow their expertise and research portfolio. And of course, we're going to have a visiting fellows program outside folks. We want them to come and hang out with us for a few months or whatever it is, and they can come from other universities, but industry also. We want to make this as a place where, certain industries may say, look, my folks need some really high level training. It would be good if they embedded themselves with Idisk for a few weeks or a month or so to gain expertise and do calculations. And of course, we have seminars and workshops. We have the IBM Skills Academy. We do training on Triton. We, of course, have this town hall and others. And of course, we host VisUM, Big Data Conference, and the Smart Cities Miami Conference, and we'll continue to do those things. One thing that we're very excited about, and I think this is the third, I can't remember if it's the second or third year, is our Master's in Data Science. And, again, many institutions are starting to offer Master's in Data Science, but I think our niche is the disciplinary component of it. We have core courses to make sure our master's students are trained in the latest and greatest of data science that they need to know, but they're also required to participate in one of 6 different concentrations. They could say, okay, no, I'm going to stick with the data science part, or they could say, I want to do an application in climate change. And in that case, they may come work with me or someone else at the Marine School or whoever it is. And we would line up internships that are disciplinary science based, but they're looking to infuse data science into that discipline. So that's that notion of infusing data science into specific disciplinary science. Again, I think that's our niche for not only the Institute, but also our master's degree in data science. Interested partners I've mentioned. I think we have the board is meeting again in March or late February, I can't remember. But the idea is to really figure out how can we help with, what guidance do we need to do training and workforce development? Where are possible collaborations and joint ventures? What about sponsored research? How do we do that? What, I described, do we have a fee for service element to Idisk, but we also have an element where you can have individuals involved in proposals from the beginning. And so it's sort of these two, sponsored research versus fee for service projects. How do we grow both of those, and how do we interact with the private sector on those? And of course, we're always looking for philanthropic support for Idisk. And then, last slide, and hopefully you all have lots of questions, but we do, this is in the middle there is a picture of Yelena Yesha. She's our most recent hire. We're really excited about her joining the leadership team, joining Idisk. And you can see she's already making a big splash across the university. We're really proud and lucky to have her as part of our team. If you're interested in this data science and computing magazine that comes out, I believe they're working on the next issue. They asked me for my input recently. So please subscribe and give us your feedback. So with that, I'm going to stop sharing my screen, and hopefully you'll all have a billion different questions for us, and maybe I'll be able to answer a few of them. So if you do have questions, you can either put them in the chat, or you can just unmute your own microphone and speak up. I'd love to hear your voices, see your faces if you want to turn your camera on. But please, if it was all straightforward, then that's great too.
I do hate awkward silences.
I'll ask a question.
there are only awkward silences on Zoom. If we were in the room together and it was quiet, nobody would care.
That's right. No, we all regard each other as being very thoughtful, which is a good
Right.
thing. That was a really nice overview, Ben. And what I was wondering was only because of how much it has shaped everything else we're doing, including what us individually are doing, what I think is a challenge for IDISC. What role, if any, has or what have been the effects of COVID on IDISC operations? And in terms of CPU power, how many of our scientists are actually doing COVID-related stuff with IDISC?
Oh, a great questions, Ken. And I have no idea what the answers are.
Sorry. So everybody knows we didn't rehearse this. That's a good thing.
I love it when the first question is, I have no idea. Nick, maybe you can help with Ken's question. I think it's a great question. Do we have an answer?
So I think that there is a number of different involvements with COVID, different type of projects, national projects. There is a project which is called the National Alliance and so forth, that it's headed by NIH, and we're participating in that. For COVID-19 cohorts, there is another one that the PCORI has put together, and we're working with that. So we have a number of different engagement. We have worked with with Coral Gables in Miami-Dade County, actually, for creating in the early stages of COVID, an awareness tool about where the cases are and so forth, until the state decided about a year ago not to update the cases for the whole Florida and the local. So there's a number of different activities with COVID, but are you asking whether the influence is?
So for example, Nick, that's a good point. So for example, is a site for a very large wastewater treatment grant. And I know is involved closely with that in a number of different ways. I know our Data Ethics and Society program is doing a lot of work related to that. And I just, everything is sort of sclerosed and slowed down or sped up depending on which version of the virus you've got. But in terms of operations, I intended not to put you on the spot, but to signal that in fact IDISC is intimately involved in some of these things.
So there's a number of different projects that we're involved indeed. So if you are asking what is the overall, how can I say, effect of COVID, besides it's definitely like the whole university, right? So we are suffering having these things doing. So for a whole year we had issues that we could not grow the way that we wanted and so forth, but we are coming out of that. So if that was part of your question, but you are part of that. But yes, indeed, we are engaged in a number of different projects with COVID all over, from all over, as you said, from the parts.
So let me.
Ben just did such a good job. I wanted to
Sure. Thanks, Ken. Susan, let me get some of these ones in the chat before I get to your question, because I think they'll be quick. When is the Data Science 101 course going to be available? Do we know the answer to that, Nick?
Mitsu is here. So
Mitsu, maybe he can say.
Right. So it's called the Data Science. Am I on?
Yeah.
So it's called the Data Science for the World. We offered the course this past fall semester, and we are planning to offer it again in the coming fall.
So it has already started.
Right. So it's a development by myself and a graduate student. So we have written a textbook using raw materials. Sort of inspiration came from Berkeley. Berkeley has this data science introduction course that they intend for every single student at Berkeley to take before graduation. Of course, it's not working that way. Many students shy away from it, but the inspiration came from it. But basically, it teaches data science and tidyverse programming. So if you're familiar with all programming, it's a package that allows you to write the code for data science. So we will offer this again in the fall semester of 2020.
Thank you, Mitsu. Quick questions in the chat box about the early career grants. Are they on a rolling basis? Yes, we award them as they come in, if appropriate. And the research centers are located within IDISC, not within any specific schools or departments. How does a student express interest in applying for helping out with research projects within IDISC? It's a good question. Stephen, if you're willing to send me an email at bkurtman@miami.edu, I'll connect you to the right people to get that conversation going. Is the master's program adapted to the post-academic online reality, or is it 100% in person? No, it's a combination of both. It's definitely hybrid.
So let me mention something. So the university does not allow master's degree to be completely online. So a large chunk of the courses should come from in-person classes. So therefore, we are not being able to make all the courses online. For the students' convenience, of course, it would be ideal to have all the courses have options of being taught online. But the Master of Science in Data Science program, they uses existing courses which were designed for in-person teaching in the most cases. Of course, in the pandemic world, we taught those courses online. So at this moment, we will be using sort of a mixed teaching mode in those courses, but we are pushing for the possibility of offering the courses in the program online.
So Susan's been waiting very patiently with her hand up. I think I need to get to Susan here. Susan, please.
Yeah, so they always seem like they're quick questions, but who knows? So I was, because I'm somebody who learns new things kind of by hearing about some examples, I was wondering if anybody could offer some examples of, data science projects in the social sciences. So, in my administrative role in the School of Communication, I work with a large number of faculty, and I'd like to kind of give them a vision of what's possible if they collaborate with IDISC, faculty and staff and students. So, I know that you had mentioned collaborations in business, and of course, AI, can be used, and machine learning can be used across many disciplines. But, just kind of, and I have more of a sense of those kinds of opportunities, at least within my own research. But if you could give me some examples of, working in the social sciences, what the range of projects has been in the past, that would be great. So thank you so much. And thank you for this overview. I really appreciate it. I found it helpful.
Yeah, I think I don't know if Daniel Messinger is on the call or not. He's much better suited to comment on this than I am. So
I can give you a couple of examples, Susan, if I can.
Okay, sure, great.
So some of the things is that we have a long-standing actual relationship with this, with the Office of Civic Engagement, in terms of the social aspects of that, which has to do with actual, affordable housing. In the Miami-Dade County, so and so on. So we have created a number of different tools in collaboration with them, and they are actually on the web and so forth about affordable housing. Also, Ben was involved about this because it is a geospatial type of application, and the way that you present this about the impacts of the climate change and the seawater level rising. So Ben was actually very instrumental in actually providing the data for that and putting it all together in terms of how we, the housing. So this is one of the aspects. Also, there is additional projects. I'm trying to give you some broad context of that. Is that I think that the team can also talk a little bit about some of the participatory mapping projects and additional aspects of that. So we have Tim here also. He can talk about this. So these are some of the projects. So there's a number of different other projects. I'm sure that I'm forgetting quite a few. So you all know, right? So at each individual time, year, or whatever, we have over 100 different projects that we're working from all across the university. Not on this area specific, but in the whole part. So Tim, do you want to have any more comments on that?
Sure, I could say a few. Hi, Susan. Thanks for that question.
Sure.
I think one of the strengths we have is actually our ability to curate data from a variety of sources. And as we all know, social science loves to draw from a variety of sources and kind of put things together. And we certainly have some strengths in that area of getting data and aligning it so that it actually can be used for some kind of analysis in the social sciences. And as Nick was kind of mentioning, I think one of the other things that I know that I'm really passionate about, and several other people are here, are about this kind of community engagement. How can we use these technologies to engage communities, local or around the globe, to kind of get people excited about their own kind of interpretation of reality, or whatever you want to call it. And so I think those are some of our strengths.
Thanks so much.
David has put in a few questions, and Eve has tried to answer most of them in the chat, David. But one thing that you might want to think about in terms of computational resources, Pegasus is basically 2 generations old, and so as time goes on, you're going to get more bang for your buck as you go to the more recent technology. And so that's certainly one simple reason why you would want to use Triton over Pegasus. It's a more powerful system. It can do much more. It's specifically designed for machine learning and artificial intelligence. That being said, yes, you need to sort of figure out if your jobs fit nicely on it and whether they go forward. My suspicion is you're going to be better off with Triton. Question for you, Mitsu, in the chat. I don't know if I assume you can see that. Is there a plan?
Yeah, I see that.
Yeah.
Right. So we are planning to do a sort of presentation targeted for individual undergraduate schools, so as to draw undergraduate students. I'm not sure which school are you from, Dr. Garcia. Currently 7 schools are participating in the program Communication Education, or Architecture, Arts and Sciences, Engineering, Business School, and the Marine School. So we are planning to do the presentation from each of the schools, but we are not at this moment planning any presentation for the medical school. So Dr. Garcia, if you are from that school, you may not receive the presentation, but we'd be happy to do a presentation of the program, not targeted for undergraduate students, but for graduate students and people who are already in the workforce at the university. So I will say, go back to my team to plan such a presentation probably in the spring semester.
Thanks, Mitsu. Any other questions? I know it takes people a couple minutes to type. So, I also want, if anyone has any questions, detailed questions, they can feel free to reach out to me. I'm happy to try to answer them as best I can. You can, as Eve has put in the chat, you can email to idisk@miami.edu. You can email me. You can email Eve. She probably knows more than everybody else combined about what's going on. But we're more than happy to try to help and get your question answered, get the right person to answer the question. And seeing if there's nothing else, Nick, do you have any final thoughts you'd like to share or anything like that?
Not really. Thank you all, and thank you, Ben, for the presentation. And we hope to see you, getting engaged with Idisk in all different levels, as Ben said. So with that, we are very excited about where we're going and how we can work with the whole university community. So hopefully, the next year is going to be very productive for all of us, and we're going to get out of this COVID nightmare.
All right. If there's nothing else, everybody have a good weekend and please be safe.